Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. How are you today? I wish you always in health condition. Okay, we are from 6th group. Today we will discuss about records. But before that, let me introduce my group. I'm Vivi Furi Astuti, my friends Veda Atmadia and Salva Ekalia Yolanda. The first presentation will be presented by me, the second presentation will be presented by Salva, and the last presentation will be presented by Veda. Okay, for the first is about record. Everybody knows what record is. Records as information created, received, and maintained as evidence and as an asset by an organization or person in pursuit of legal obligations or in the transactions of business. While there are many purposes of and benefits to records management, as this definition highlights, a key feature of records is their ability to serve as evidence of an event. Proper records management can help preserve this feature of records. That is, the written documents, drawings, and printed matter officially received or produced by an administrative body or one of its officials. While the records are active within your office, they must be filled appropriately using the file classification plan and maintained on a day-to-day basis until the file is closed. All records should be managed together using the same file plan regardless of format, like paper, electronic, or other media. Next is about records management practices and concepts. First, setting policies and standards. Second, assigning responsibilities and authorities. Third, establishing and promulgating procedures and guidelines. Fourth, providing a range of service relating to the management and use of records. Next, designing, implementing, and administering specialist systems for managing records. And the last is integrating records management into business systems and processes. Here, the records management principles and automated records management systems aid in the capture, classification, and ongoing management of records throughout their life cycle. Therefore, the records management have to setting policies and standards, assigning, establishing, providing, designing, and integrating the records to practice and concept that document. Now, go to the next slide. Managing cycle records. First, identifying records. It needs to be authenticated. If an item is presented as a legal record, it needs to be authenticated. Forensic expert may need to examine a document or artifact to determine that it is not a forgery and that any damage, alteration, or missing content is documented. Second is storing records. Must be stored. It means that records must be stored in such a way that they are accessible and safeguarded against environmental damage. A typical paper document may be stored in a filing cabinet in an office. The next is about retrieval of records. Must also establish the proper capabilities. In addition to being able to store records, enterprises must also establish the proper capabilities for retrieval of records. in the event they are needed for a purpose such as an audit or litigation, or for the case of destruction. Fourth, circulating records. It is away from the normal storage area. Yeah, tracking the record while it is away from the normal storage area is referred to as circulation. Often this is handled by simple written recording procedure. However, many modern records environments use a computerized system involving barcode scanner or radio frequency identification technology or RFID to track movement of the records. The last is disposal of records. Does not always mean destruction. It means that it can also include transfer to a historical archive, museum, or private individual. Destruction of records ought to be authorized by law, statute, regulation, or operating procedure, and the records should be disposed of with care to avoid inadvertent disclosure of information. Okay, those are about managing SQL records. There are 5 steps to managing SQL records, and the next presentation will be presented by Salva.
The next material is managing digital records. This has important implications for the authenticity, reliability, and trustworthiness of records. The general principles of records management apply to records in any format. Digital records, however, raise specific issues. It is more difficult to ensure that the content, context, and structure of records is preserved and protected when the records do not have a physical existence. Record keeping system. There are 3 types of record keeping system in common use. Number 1 is paper filing system. Have been used traditionally in office environments and are still used in environments where office receive a lot of incoming paper documents or where the original format must be retained in order to ensure the integrity of the document. The example where a signature is required. However, the rationale for managing paper system is decreasing as more records are created digitally. Transactions occur online and laws of evidence are amended. Furthermore, paper filing systems do not provide the same level of searchability as electronic systems. Number 2 is shared drives. Have become a common method for organizing and storing records in the modern office environment where paper filing system no longer exist. The advantages of shared drives is that records which are born digital can remain in electronic format and are easily retrievable on the desktop. The disadvantages to shared drive filing system is that their maintenance is often not assigned to a staff member, so they become dumping grounds for all sorts of records. And then the last is electronic records management system are specialist software application designed to classify records and manage them through their life cycle. Their advantages is that they combine powerful search and retrieval capabilities with the ability to to manage records and information across the institution, both paper and electronic.
Okay, for the next material will be presented by me. The next material is about official format. Many records are created in both electronic and paper form. In order to avoid duplication, units should decide in which format to keep the official copy. The decision must be applied consistently for each file class and should be noted in the file plan. For the next is about keeping track of files and folders. The file plan will reflect the file classes used within the unit. Units should also keep a listing of files opened and closed that fall within each of the file classes. It is useful to create such a list so that the unit knows what files have already been created. More important for paper filing systems where the file folders are likely stored in a separate file room or in multiple offices. Can search for files that have been sent to storage, again, more useful in a paper environment. Can quickly prepare a listing of when it comes to time to implement the retention and disposition. And then the list can take any format like table, spreadsheet, database. It's useful to include the following information for each file, like file class code from the CRS, and then file title, then that range, and then the next we have content or description is optional, and then file number optional too, and then location optional too, and then status can be open or closed, and then it's optional too, and then for the last keywords or names it's optional too. And then after explaining some explanation above, we will give you some tips for keeping effective filing systems in the office. For the first one is determine how you want to retrieve the file. Second, label each hanging and many of folders. The third, stick with the same labeling system. And then the next, leave space in the drawer for new files. Then lay the paper in the folders so you can see the tabs. And then the last, find a filing cabinet that will hold all of your files. I hope that tips can help you to managing or keeping the filing system in the office. Okay, this is the end for our explanation about the records. Thank you very much for your attention and thank you for watching our video. I hope that all of you can learn from our explanation. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.